Hey guys.
Hello.
Hello.
We already had a couple of folks from.
Hi, Fami.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Pims R4 Product Innovations webinar. This will be the first of the series this year. We'll run these every 3 months, roughly. So we look forward to having you join us for all of those. The agenda for today is, as we communicated out, we'll have Cesar taking us through some new methodology for integration between Pims products. Ty is going to give us an update on the status of moving everything from the completions world across to the web. I don't think webification technically is a valid word, but you get the idea. Angela Johnson's going to take us through some new innovations in the document control space. And Lawrence Lennox is going to take us through some cost management updates. I'm Shane Butt. I'll be hosting the webinar, and there is a Q&A section available. So inside the Teams world, next to the chat, you should see a Q&A button. Feel free to click on that and add any questions you have. We'll try and address them during the event or at the end with voice details. All right, so first off, I'm going to hand over to Cesar, who's going to talk through the new method of integrating between the Pims products.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for connect to our Pims release highlight. My name is Cesar Cifonte. I have been system engineer in Omega 365 since 2022. I am part of Group 3C led by Job. And the agenda for today is linking item. All know that the integration between some product of Pims has been to some degree limited. But now we can do this integration with this feature based on the client needed, which require customization. And with the release of the feature, the system represents a significant step toward the integration solution. Okay, what is the linking item? The linking item is a great feature designed for user to establish connection between related objects across various pins of product, offering flexibility and traceability. This connection can be used as one directional or bidirectional relationship. Let's move. This is a slide. And this is a slide. We have a little example how to work linking item before going to leave them. We have some product like document control, completion management, and we can see with the new feature, and we can have communication between some products, one directional or bidirectional. Suppose we have a group of engineers who want to use a correspondent in document control, which technical query, and to management project related communication. What should they do? They can create this is linking item, and this is able to maintain and traceability record of discussion and decision related to the same chain. Next move, the live demo. Okay, we are in the CMS in the module subsystem, and we have this tab, link item. Okay, we have this tab called link item, and this is part we have agreed that he has information related linking item already about this is a system that already. For example, this is linking item is activity. We have in this grid we have this column ID, title, and style relate, and this is linking item. If I do a click here, go to the activity relate the subsystem. How to do add the new link item? We have this button in here, and this part we have application. For example, I click correspondent, and this part select this is correspondent and some comment. Item. And this part I select is one directional, bidirectional. This case bidirectional. Add link. And we have the new linking item related to correspondent. If I do a click here, go to detail correspondent. This is the detail correspondent, and we have this is the same tab, the linking item, with the information related to the subsystem. It's the same grid, and the column ID, the column title, the status, back, and the subsystem. Now I will create a new linking item, one directional. Select application like action tracking, and select item. This is tracking, and click here because I will create the one directional. At link is create in this part. See here, go to the action tracking, the workflow. In this case, one direction. Now, let's move how to set up. This is a linking item. Sharing screen. Okay, we are in the global template domain, and we have the menu, linking item setup. In this part, we have the grid with information, the linking item, the application. We have all application that use a linking item. In our case, we have a subsystem, and we have a column, my menu, new item view. And this is part, we have a low application. And here, I want to select, for example, this is application and subsystem or tag. And back the page. Refresh the page. Go to the linking item. Add the new linking item. Now in application, we have a tag and MOC document, the new application like a tag. In here to create a new linking item. Yes. It's bidirectional at the link. And we have this is new linking item. Here, go to the tag detail. And we have the same tab linking item, and we have the new linking item. Okay, let's move the presentation. And we have documentation related linking item. And for more information on linking item, contact us, email, Teams, to me, to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Cesar. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, Ty, the floor is yours now.
Yes.
If there's any questions from anybody on the cross-linking, just add them into that Q&A section.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Pims R4 Innovation. So the agenda today is to kick off. I will introduce the topic and presenter, and then I will cover three most important apps: asset curve, tag generator, and the test equipment. And then I move into the demo, the product functionalities and the features. About the presenters, my name is Thai Quat, and I am the junior system engineer. I belong to Team 3C, led by Di Yonghua. And the topic of the Pims R4 innovation today will be the CMS webification progress, a world without Win clients. So in the past, the Win client is used to set up your CMS project, but with the involvement of web technology, we decide to webify all the feature of the CMS to the web. Our key to focus modernize Win client feature into the web, improve the user interface and user experience, increase the efficiency, better scalability, and increase mobility. That means you can set up your CMS project without having the Win clients. You can access anywhere, anytime. All right, let's go to the first topic. We will the Curve app. So the Curve is an app for the user used to visualize the progress over time and tracking the status of project activities. From that, you can identify the potential delay and issue that impact your project. Our Curve app will support the varied type of the module. That's a system, subsystem, package, print item, and a checklist. The key features will be the user able to dynamic switching between the chart and the grid view for her data. And we design the chart for the user. It can able to interact to display the complete and meaningful information. We have the exporting features enable user to save chart in the PNGs or PDF format. And we having the advanced feature enable user to apply advanced feature that's all designed to handle complex scenario. We also have the manually recreate curve data to ensure it reflects the most up-to-date data in the real time. The tag generators. So the tag generators used to create the bus of tag number by using the prepared tag scheme with less effort. So the tag scheme is a set of rules to avoid the mistake and help you to create the tag numbers for your engineering function code and the discipline. The key feature of the tag generators is this app allow the user to configure your own tag scheme, and we integrate the validation module to ensure the correctness and the consistency. User be able to dynamically toggle an option of tag create a tool, whether if you want to use that tool in your engineering import or not. User be able to configure your own mandatory field or the default values. All right, let's go to test equipment. So the test equipment is where a user can define and manage your test equipment for the checklist table. The key feature is easy tracking the calibration of history of each record. Manage the relate file and the attachment, and manage your equipment type by your own. All right, let's go to the demo. All right, furthermore, I have the Curve app right here. So as I mentioned, this Curve app, we support the varied type of level. We have the system, subsystem, package, an item, and a checklist. So for this demo, I will pick the checklist data to test. So as you can see right here, we can pick the required field to show the data. I already picked the project, response ID, milestone, the start date, and the end date. No data. Oh. Sorry for interrupting. All right, so after I fill all the input field and then I click the load data, all the data over from the from 2020 to 24, we show everything in the chart right here. We design a chart that's enable the interaction. For user to interact with the chart right here, you can hover to the line to show all the status of the total plan complete, or you can click onto the label to filtering what you want to see. You can switch between the grid view or the chart view by clicking the show data right here or show chart. You can enable to export your chart by PDF or the PNG image. And we have the recreate curve data to ensure the chart we show the up-to-date data. You can pick the date to showing and then hit OK. All right. So let's go to the tag generator. For the tag generators, first of all, we need to configure the tag scheme. All right. I already set up all the tag scheme for the engineering register master equipment right here. With the tag scheme, we have some field you can easily put it in. That's a discipline, part number, label. I already config everything. And then after that, we can go to the engineering setup, enable the tag creator tool. And then from the engineering register, we can see the tag generator button right here. Click on that. All right, let's pick the function code I just create from the tag scheme. Plan project. This is a number of tag. How many tag I want to create? I can put 5 right here. And then with this tag scheme, the first 2 digits will be the system. All right, I can pick any system here. And then inside the separators with the function code, the part code, that one is the fixed value because I put a fixed value right here. All right, and the sequence with 4 digits. Then I hit generate. All right, so it's gonna be show everything right here. Before you create those tags, you have to validate to make sure everything is matched with your tag scheme. And then I can create this one. Right. Filtering. Okay, so this one is the tag generators. Tag create. All right. And the mandatory field. So if you set up, you can set up your own mandatory field that required to having the input before import to the engineering and the default values. So for this case, I put in the default value for the field comment, which is generated by tag generator. And that's why you can see this one automatically populate to the field comment. All right, we can move into the test equipment. All right, so this grid showing right here, you can add, manage, and define your own equipment name. For each equipment, you can put in some field like name, manufacturers with the red asterisk right here. That's a required field. And then you can manage your own equipment type by clicking the task right here. Go to config equipment type. And you can put your type name and a description. All right, for each record, you can manage your own calibration history right here. Then add the file to your history. Right? I already defined 4 of those. And after that, we can go to the checklist table to config the test equipment table. So for these assembles, I already config everything. And then after I config the test equipment table, I can go to the checklist template and then add those table to the step of an item right here. As you can see, at the table template ID, the ID right here. And then we can go to checklist detail. And the test equipment table will show on the test number 1. I can click recreate table. All right. So everything is on set. And then we can pick, this is a lookup to show which equipment you have in your inventory. So this showing all the state, all the field, all the information like a name, model, serial number, type, and then we can pick your own test equipment. Right? After you pick one, it's automatically populate to the other field. Right? That should be easier for you to tracking and then filling your test equipment table. All right. So that's it. Let's go back to the presentation. All right. Thank you so much. Thanks for listening.
All right. Thank you for that, Ty. Now let's hand over to Angela Johnson, who's going to give us some updates in the document control space. And if you have any questions on the webification of completions topic, feel free to add them in the Q&A section. Over to you, Angela.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, everyone. My name is Angela Johnson. I am a senior analyst at Omega, and I am a document control subject matter expert. There's a couple of things that I'll be showing you today. The automatic validation within contractor submittals import, how you can add a cover page within Pims to documents that have been submitted via a contractor, or if you're creating them internally, and then also canceling reviews in bulk, and then just showing you a view of the updated details panel. Okay, I'll go through the slide deck first, and then I'll jump into the system so we can go through each one of these and demo that for you. So our automatic validation, you've heard of CSI Miami, CSI Vegas, CSI New York. So we have CSI Omega with our contractor submittals import, which in this form, we've added additional checks where documents submitted by contractors can validate PDFs, okay? The validation not only includes the metadata of the file, but also this new functionality checks for locked or password protected documents. If the document already has existing comments on it and it's not a reply file, if the file does not allow for comments or annotations, or if it is a reply file and there aren't any comments existing, okay? And what we have here is our system has the crawler now that will go in as our little detective here and look for those things in the clue. What will happen is the user will receive, or the individual who's adding the document will receive the warning, letting them know for sure that one of those criteria that I listed above here, or I'm sorry, one of the warnings listed above here is applied to that particular document. Now, this functionality initially was thought about being developed for external documents and only being done by the company, meaning the company that's receiving the document. But as it further went along, before it was released last week, we did go ahead and release it where It's also shown in that validation check is also shown where the contractor will see it if they're adding or submitting the documents themselves. It will show them the warning as well. Now, the warning does not stop the contractor or the internal personnel from importing the document or submitting the document, but it does give them the warning there, but it can be bypassed. It's not a hard stop, okay? And then our next thing that we have here is how we can add a cover page to a document. The ability to add a cover page has been submitted documents for external parties is available again in the contractor submittals import. There's a couple of requirements that are needed for this to happen. The person who is validating, or I'm sorry, adding the cover page must have a document control role or the role with elevated permissions. There must be a cover page template that's created and included on the contract. And each project can create their own template for whatever type of document they're being submitted. They can submit or have multiple templates. They can have a template for like technical documents as procedures or reports or manuals of those kind. And they can also have a different template that they're using for a drawing, or even a template, I guess, that has one of the ones that I have that I'm going to show you later has a QR code on there. And then, of course, when you're using this functionality, the document validation must be enabled for you to do this, okay? Again, the functionality that you have here, if you have more than one template on your contract, you'll get a pop-up window letting you know that you need to select your cover page for which one you're going to use if you have multiple cover pages that are there. And then once you add your cover page, if you realize that for whatever reason you need to go back to your previous version of the document that you had before you import your document, let's just say I accidentally grabbed the incorrect cover page, I can always recover or revert back to my current version of that particular document so I can add the corrected cover page. If a cover page is already on the document, these same steps will allow you to replace the cover page as well. Okay. For internal documents, the add or replace on the cover page, if you're manually adding documents for internal purposes like specifications or any type of internal document that you may have, the functionality is not found in the contractor's submittals import. It's actually found on the documents details page from the drop-down menu next to the file. Okay. And then, of course, canceling reviews in bulk. The option has been added in the reviews follow-up under our task. And here you can cancel reviews by multiples by clicking on the documents that you would like to cancel from the multi-select buttons on the left-hand side there. You would do that. A pop-up window would come up asking you to provide a reason for your cancellation. It's optional. You don't have to add a reason if you don't want to. But if you do, it'll show on the profile of the document for why it was canceled. And then also an email notification is sent out to the reviewers on that document of the cancellation, so they won't think that documents are just dropping off of their home page for tasks to be completed. And then, of course, our updated details panel view. In the documents details panel, it has been updated to show a full view of the documents profile. Users can now view and review all tabs of the documents profile from the right side panel. As you can see here, I'm showing that this was the previous version of what the details panel showed, which was basically just the title of the document, the revision information, and then it had the file that was associated with the document and how far it progressed, depending on if it was a placeholder, if it was in review, or if the review had been completed. And then, of course, you could have additional information there. Now the new version actually shows you all the tabs of the document profile, from information, the revisions, and all the tabs at the top. And these are fully functional hyperlinks where you can click from the details panel as well. Okay, so let's go into our demo. Okay. First thing first, I'm logged in here as myself, but I'm also going to be logged in as Paul Contractor. Okay, for our first thing is that Paul Contractor is actually sending documents in to a company. So he's going to go to, there's placeholders here. So he would go to upload documents and he's going to upload the documents. This is where the contractor would see if, once I do this, he'll see if there's any validations. The system will look for any validations of those new specifics, the functionality that I've shown, that I mentioned earlier. So if I add these, and add these to the file as Paul Contractor. And as you can see, it gives the contractor immediately the warning that these documents contains comments. This one has a password associated with it, or it's locked. It's locked or password protected. And this one has commenting disabled. So if the document here, this was IFI, but if it was set for IFR, no one would be able to comment on the document or review the document because the commenting is disabled. Now, again, this does not stop the contractor from submitting the document, but he can go ahead and he can either correct those changes that are there for the warnings that are there, or go ahead and submit. For this demo purpose, I'm going to go ahead and submit them as Paul Contractor. And then of course, it also gives us another warning, again, that some of the documents have verifications errors, but we can go ahead and bypass that if we'd like. It's not a hard stop. Does someone have a question? Okay.
I've seen it.
Okay, so Paul Contractor has actually submitted those documents in. So now I'll go in as myself and I'll go to our contractor submittals import. And I have those documents that are there. That's these 1, 2, 3 documents that we have here. I'll go to my taskbar at the top and I'll say validate my PDF files. Of course, I have to select which files I want to validate first. This is part of the quality check that the document controller on the company side would handle. Now, instead of having to download each file, one of the things we have too is we've added the eye icon so they can now see the PDF without actually downloading it there from the web browser there. And then they can also, once we hit our task and go to validate our PDF files that I've selected, and then of course it gives me those same warnings that it had given to the contractor there. At this point, as the document controller, I could either bypass this because again, it's not a hard stop, it's just a warning, or I could select them and reject them if I wanted to. If I wanted to reject the selected, pop-up windows comes up and we give them a reason to please correct PDF notation or whatever reason I put there. Confirm rejection, that goes back. I still have this one that I can submit to the import to the main register, and it will take it without any issues. Now, the people reviewing the document, the reason, one of the main reasons that we had this, that this has been added is that in the past, when there were layers or those comments or files were locked, the documents were submitted by the contractor, the document controller imported them on the company side, and we didn't know that they had layers or there were comments or the file was locked until we got to the actual review. So this actually gives them a warning to check for those things, or they can have those things corrected before the review starts, so it does not become a problem on the review side. Okay? Any questions on any of that? Okay, so we're going to move on to generating our cover page. For the sake of time, I didn't know how long I was going to have to do all this, so I I went ahead and had Paul Contractor submit this file into the company. Of course, it came into our Contractor Submittals import again. And again, I can use the eye icon to preview the document in the PDF version viewer. And as you can see, it just comes up with the document and there's no cover page on it there. Okay. So what I'm going to do, if I want to add a cover page, I'm going to go select my document here, going to go to task, and I want to add a cover page. Of course, there's a pop-up window that comes up. It's going to change or pin the file that's already there. Again, if I wanted to, this one does not have a cover page, so I'll be adding a cover page here. If the document did have a cover page, I could replace the cover page for one that I actually had on the, and that I had saved myself, okay? So then I can add my cover page. In this instance, I have more than one cover page on my contract, as I mentioned earlier, and I'll show you that here. So on my contract that I have, under my templates for cover pages, I have two different cover pages that I can use. Both of them are external, but one has a QR code and the other one does not. Okay. So if I go back to my Contractor Submittals import, I could go to my cover page and I can add my cover page. As you see, my error warning validation message has disappeared now because I've added the cover page, and I'll click on add the cover page. Now, if I go back to my eye icon, there's a cover page that's added, simple, pretty generic, where it has the document number, the name of the document, and then some document metadata that it has there for the document where it was pulled from the information that was provided. Okay. Now if I go back to, sorry, this thing here. If I had grabbed the incorrect cover page, as I mentioned earlier, I can actually go back and go to my task button and click on my current files tracking register. And it's going to show me here that this file that I had, the PDF file, was updated, and the action was done here today at 8:10. And if I wanted to go back to my previous version, meaning the version of the file without the cover page, I could click on the recover button here. And if I close it, if I go back to my eye icon, the cover page is gone. Okay. So if you need to replace it, if you need to add a cover page, you can do that. If you there's a fail safe for, again, if we choose the incorrect cover page, or if you have multiples and there's more than one cover page that's there, you can actually go back to your version of your document. Now, once I've added my cover page and I actually add it to the documents register, meaning that it's there for all of the project to see, I can no longer revert my cover page back. So once I import this to the selected main register, I can't go back and revert to my the previous version of the document. It'll show up as it'll show it here in the task for under the current tracking. It'll show that there isn't anything there at the time. If I wanted to go to my documents that were imported, here. If I went to this document where it's imported, you see I can't click on it. I'm trying to click on it now, but I can no longer select it to make any changes to go back to the register or to update this, since this has already been added to the documents register. Okay. Now, to cancel reviews in bulk. This has been an ask of several clients of ours of a way to canceling reviews in bulk if necessary, and that option has actually, or functionality has actually been added. Here, if we go to our documents application and go to our reviews follow-up, here, we'll see all the documents that are pending here on this, for this particular project that are here. So I'm going to select a few of these that are quite old. As you can see, it gives you the number of days if they're past due, or if they're coming through, how many days that they have left. I'm not sure why this one's not showing past due, but these are quite old. So I'm going to select a few of them here that are over 100 days plus days old that the review hasn't gone. For whatever reason, we're going to make those selections that are there. We'll go to our task button, and as I mentioned, the cancel review option becomes enabled, and I can cancel the review here. I get my pop-up window to add my reason of why I'm canceling these here. And of course, those documents are canceled. Now, if I go back to one of them, I know I specifically, when I was prepping for the demo, I kept one of my document numbers that was there. If I go back to my documents and search for that particular document with this doc ID, I can see it here on that the review was canceled. And if I open that up, it'll show me the reason for the cancellation. It says here that I added there in the pop-up window. Okay. And then, of course, last but not least, we have our details panel view. Now, if I go to any of these documents, and I show my details panel view, as I mentioned before, not only do you see the name of the file, but you have the full document profile available to you from that details panel. As I mentioned, all of these tabs can be accessed, and the information in there, if there's any notes or anything, it's viewable there. If you wanted to get to the review from here, you could. It would take you back to the review page itself. But all the information is clearly on now from the details panel view of the document. Okay. I do want to go back to one thing that I did not show you that I should have. When you're adding a cover page, other than in addition to rather adding your template to your contract and showing which that you're going to use it for your in your cover page there, you also have to set up your template in your DCS configuration. And in your DCS configuration, there is a templates tab. And here you'll have your cover page template. And of course, as you can see, these are just Word documents or templates that you create that have been created in Word. And we've given it the bookmark item on those particular templates that are there, and what field where the metadata is being pulled from those. So those are being added these are the cover page templates that are here in the system. If the templates are to be used for external use as well, we'll need to check off here that it is a contractor's template there. Okay. Did I go over my time, Shane?
No, you did perfect, Angela. Thank you.
If anyone has any questions, feel free to ping me on Teams or just reach out and And I can share the PowerPoint with Shane so he can, if he wants to, he can hand it out to the attendees on the call.
Yeah, and if you want to try and get it answered during the call, use the Q&A section.
Yeah.
For those of you that were paying really close attention, you would have noticed in that updated detail panels view that Angela was showing there, the linked items were there as well that Cesar had covered before. So now we're going to hand over to Lawrence to show us the latest updates to cost management, and Angela will monitor the Q&A for document control if there's any questions.
Yep. All right. Good morning, all. My name is Lawrence Lanak. A little bit about myself. I am a Pims R4 analyst as well as Omega 365 analyst, specializing in the cost management tool. I am in the 3E team led by Brian Wasbinski, and I'll be giving a short demo presentation on some of the new features, excuse me, and improvements within the cost tool, primarily in 3 different sections. One would be the contracts time phasing application, status reporting, as well as some improvements to the commitments and transaction applications.
I think you might have muted yourself, Lawrence.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I can't hear you anymore.
I thought I pressed on my apologies. Let me go start over again. So sorry. Good morning. My name is Lawrence Lanak. I'm a Pims and Omega 365 cost management analyst. Essentially, I'm in the 3E team led by Brian Wasbinski, and today I'll be going over some of the changes made to the Pims R4 cost module, primarily in 3 different sections, one being contracts time phasing, one in status reporting, and third in some improvements in the commitments and transactions applications. Moving on ahead then, you can see over here, this is the contracts time phasing application. It's a little bit newer in the system, and essentially it's a newer way of visualizing your contracts within the system rather than using the original contracts application. In this view, it's much more transposed, which I'll show you in the live demo coming up. But essentially, you have the power of seeing your contracts by cutoff, as well as your ability to import them by those cutoffs by forecast. You can then also easily time phase those out via our standard profiles, or you're able to load in your own phasing data should you wish. In addition, just like the time phasing transpose application, you're able to update these values from different parts of our system, which is how it's all tied together. The next part is going over the status reporting within Pims. Depending on your version of Pims, it's dependent on your version of Pims you're using right now. That's maybe new to you, but essentially it's a really swell way to essentially have a template version of your maybe like a monthly report or weekly report for your management or project managers, which you can then generate on a certain frequency. And the good thing about it is, since it's a template, it is always uniform. So if you're chasing some sort of standardization within that manner, this is probably something that would be attractive to you. Basically, within there, I'll show you more of that functionality within the live demo. But also, we have a good way of connecting our other areas of PIM, such as the reports. Over here, this is part of the configuration of the actual status report. But essentially, you can pull different reports from different parts of the system, and it'll actually pull the live data from there and link it to your report via the tag system, which I'll go over into some detail as well. Lastly, I want to talk about the improvements to the transactions and commitments part of the system. These are our core apps. However, in the past, you would have to essentially download a template and then upload and basically take copy and paste your data from your Excel file into our template and then load it up to the system. That might take a few extraneous steps. However, the improvement is actually we've essentially added in a columns mapping over here, which you can see I took a snippet. Essentially, what that means is you can take an app, a data dump from your ERP system, wherever data you're using, and you can use your headers over there, and then map it to our target columns within the system. And once you upload that file that way, you don't need to touch it at all. The system will read your document and it will then upload the data should it match the formatting of our system. Essentially, the way I see it is it's a more speedy and accurate way to, an alternative way to loading data in lieu of an API. Maybe this is something you would use if you're trying to get to an API, but you want to get you want to get your project on the roll before having a true connection. There's one for the commitments as well. It'll look very familiar in style, but that's something we'll move on now to the live demo to demonstrate all of these. So first, I'll be in the contracts typeface application, as you can see here. And if you cannot see it very well, please let me know. I can always zoom in to ensure everything is legible. I might just do one right now. As you can see, just like the time-facing transposed app you might be familiar with, this is not the same thing. However, we're looking at the contract level, which can then be rolled up to our work packages within the system. We also have our own set of new verifications in relation to this. You're able to use much the same functionalities in time phasing now within this application. For example, if I want to go over here and then change this spread profile to be even, I can do that. And then when I time phase it, just like I would do normally in Pims, I can choose my settings, would be cost, forecast, and only this item. I click OK. You'll note that the bottom over here in this chart area has now changed the phasing profile based upon my selection. However, if you have your own phasing data, just like the other application, you can go over here in the import modal and choose your settings again, whether it's periodic data or cumulative, cost or progress. You're able to choose again whether it's planned, forecast, actual, costs related at the contract level, and then you're able to import it via this method. Everything will be rolled up on the right-hand side over here. When I scroll over, you can see the phasing throughout each contract, which will then be subsequently rolled up to the work package level and the other tools and Pims. So we can move on now to the status reports, applications. Over here within the system, we have one example of the monthly report. So quickly, I'll show more of the final products. I don't think I did that in quite the demo, and that's right, the slides. But here it is. This essentially is the final product of the status reports tool. It can be a monthly report such as this. You can see it's green energy project for this month, March 2024. You can see we have a header page here, a table of contents. Let me zoom in a little bit. But essentially, this is all automatically generated from the information within the system via the tag system, which I'll go over in a moment. So from there, you can see we have an overall summary, some pictures that have been embedded into the content section, HSC area, quality, cost status page over here, commitment statuses, and just anything you want to have in your report on a monthly basis, you can configure it to be so. Schedule information, etc. And all of that is handled in the information area down here. I need to zoom out one. So we have our template over here, which can be a Word template, which then you would change with all the tags. But you can see over here we have several content sections. You see they're also made responsible over here by different people within the organization, and they're given a status of complete. Essentially, the user can be assigned a certain area where they need to update, and you see them over here. They've made a small note, and then they say this area is complete. And you also have other areas down here which have not been completed yet, which needs to be done before the report's actually generated, just to keep things tidy. The reports over here, this is where we can take different reports from the system. For example, we have the cost curves, changes, contracts. All these different reports are actually live data within our system, and we can then put it as a tag over here, which is then mapped into the report. And then you're also able to query them or actually filter them in certain ways, such as, you want to see a certain level of the project, maybe level 1, maybe just certain elements of it. That's sort of the flexibility we have for you for the porting. You can go as high as you want to go or as low in detail, should you wish. We can also add in attachments over here. And maybe instead of if you want to add in a certain media outside of our application, you can do so over here. The tag system is basically how everything is interconnected within our system as well as the documents. Essentially, we see over here there's a legend off to the right-hand side saying whether the tag is used, or if it doesn't exist, or if there's an error with it. They will be usually red over here, or they would be marked. We're also able to then distribute them to different people and via email, and also different organizations should you wish. That is the application. The third one we'll go to is we'll go into the commitments and the transaction applications within the system. So as I said before, basically this is the transactions page, and usually beforehand you would have to download an import template down here and map the data that way. However, now in lieu of that, we have our column mappings, which you can then choose over here. These are our target columns within the system. You would have then your target columns. You would copy and paste them into this source over here. And once you upload your data from the Excel document, it would then read the columns and then map the data and automatically draw all that information over here. But the commitments may be a better reference to what the data may look like, as you can see. So this has been already loaded to the system. We have our work packages, WS structure, reference documents. These are all fields essentially you may find in SAP or JD Edwards. So this essentially, it's an easier way to load the data within our system without having to do much work on the client side. So that concludes my presentation on some of the new features in Pims.
Excellent. Thank you, Lawrence. All right, we got a few minutes up our sleeve. So one thing I'll show that came out of the Q&A around cost linking is, in fact, they're further advanced than I thought. So let me just share my screen and show that documentation is ahead of what I saw. So if you go to docs.omega365.com, there's an area here for Pims. Under About Pims is under User Interface, Linked Items, and it describes the elements that Cesar took us through. And also you'll see when you add an item, now they're adding the ability here to not just link to an item, but to create that new item at the same time. So under creating new items, you can see here, you can seamlessly add the item at the same time as linking it. So Mita was ahead of the game there. Thank you, Mita. All right. Any other questions? You've got a few minutes to enter them into the Q&A. Also, our next scheduled Pims R4 webinar will be 3 months from now, which would be June. Feel free, if you've got any topics that you would like to see covered in detail, to email those through to me beforehand, and we will do our best to include those. So if there's no more Q&A questions, we'll let you all get back to your working day. Have a great Easter. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Yep. Thank you, Shane.
All right.